Bounding into comics is not judge, jury, or executioner. Our opinions, our observations, and what we report on do not account nor reflect upon how the law is exercised. The following is disturbing material related to sexual assault. Please make sure that young children and those who do not wish to participate in this type of conversation are out of the room. Gaiman is on Time magazine's list of the world's 100 most influential people. Credited with bringing comics to a global audience, he has been called the most loved living writer. His writing has been adapted for Netflix and Amazon miniseries, Hollywood films, and West End shows. He delivered the last annual Tolkien lecture at Oxford University and was selected to open the latest season of the Queen's Reading Room podcast. Yes, it's that Neil Gaiman, the one that wrote Sandman, the one that brought American Gods to all of us. He's now accused of sexual assault in New Zealand, as reported by Tortoise here. Tortoise Investigates. I believe I'm pronouncing that correct. What we're about to discuss is very serious, as the disclaimer at the beginning of this explained. You may see some cuts in this because this is a very difficult topic to discuss. It's hard not to get angry as we go through what's about to be discussed. So you'll forgive me if I edit out some of the moments where I am less than charitable to Mr. Gaiman's current situation. It's been very difficult even getting to this part of the recording, let alone what's to come. Without further ado, let's find out what happened. Neil Gaiman has been accused of sexual assault by two women with whom he was in consensual relationships and is the subject of a police complaint in New Zealand. Gaiman's position is that he strongly denies any allegations of non-consensual sex with the women and adds New Zealand police did not take up his offer of assistance over one woman's complaint in 2022, which he says reflects a lack of substance. However, the New Zealand police said it made a number of attempts to speak to key people as part of this investigation, and those efforts remain ongoing, which roughly means that they're attempting to reach out to the people that Mr. Gaiman suggested, or rather alluded to, and they have yet to conclude those conversations or perhaps even initiate them. And they went on to add that there are a number of factors to take into consideration with this case, including location of all parties. Very important. The allegations span 2 decades and concern young women who came into contact with Gaiman, the 63-year-old best-selling author of The Sandman, Good Omens, and American Gods, as a nanny of his child and as a fan of his writing. There's a bit of a pattern going on. You notice with Dr. Disrespect, and then we ended up with Nick Rekieta, it seems that power is one of those things that corrupts people very quickly when you have agency over people. We saw how desperate fans became with the Beatles and with Elvis, so it's no mystery that when fame falls upon you at a certain level, there's people that tend to forget themselves and do foolish things, and you, being the 63-year-old adult in this situation, should say no. But Mr. Gaiman didn't, so we'll go on. The women's allegations were first reported in Tortoise's podcast, Master, The Allegations Against Neil Gaiman, released this past Wednesday. That's July 3rd of 2024. The 4-part series examines the women's accusations of rough and degrading sex with the author, which they say was not always consensual. Now again, these women are much, much, much younger than Mr. Gaiman. And I stress this because as some science suggests that the finer thinking portion of the brain, the maximum decision-making engine, if you will, doesn't solidify until about 25 in most humans. And so it's important that we remember this, even though we're dealing with adults by a legal standard, that we're still dealing with people who are observing you, Mr. Gaiman, as a world-renowned author. And they themselves are just fans or simply that are aware of your work, right? And I suppose you can see how this goes, you know? that people tend to get carried away with what's right in front of them. The person in question that begins this is Scarlett, age 23, and she alleges that Gaiman sexually assaulted her within hours of their first meeting in February 2022 in a bath at his New Zealand residence, where she worked as a nanny to his child. Tortoise understands that Gaiman's account is that they only cuddled and made out in the bathtub, and that he had established consent for this. His position is that over the 3-week sexual relationship that followed, they only ever engaged in consensual digital penetration. Now, I'm not sure what that exactly translates to, okay? I don't quite follow what digital penetration is. Perhaps that's like the cyber sex of the early 2000s, perhaps. Maybe it was the late 90s too. I'm not sure what people got up to on dial up. But the digital penetration is, I'm not sure what that means. So I'm not sure why even to bring that up. I don't even know how that qualifies in what he's experiencing here with these allegations, but this is what he says, is that he had only engaged in consensual digital penetration with Scarlett. But the story goes on, all right? It continues on, and we meet the next person. Her name is Kay. And this woman, she says that she was 18 when she met Gaiman at a book signing in Sarasota, Florida in 2003. She began a romantic relationship when she turned 20, with him when she turned 20. And Gaiman was in his mid-40s at this time. I understand the barrier between legal adult and adult. You know, there's people that you turn to in a crisis situation, and not too many people are going to choose a 20-year-old over a 40-year-old, regardless of their sex, okay? I just want to let you know that there's not a lot of people that have confidence in the decision-making of a 20-year-old as opposed to the decision-making of a 40-year-old. Think of that what you will, but that is a fact as blue as the sky outside your window. But she alleges that she submitted to rough and painful sex that she neither wanted nor enjoyed. In one incident, she alleges Gaiman penetrated her despite her asking him not to do so, as she was suffering from a very painful infection at the time. Gaiman's position is that he denies any unlawful behavior with Kay and is disturbed by her allegations. Now, again, like, here's what they go on to say, because they're playing a bit of the both sides of this. Like, they're trying to explain a bit of like Gaiman's position while reinforcing the hashtag believe all women situation. I'm not calling them out. I am not besmirching their claims. I am simply trying to convey what's happening in the article as we read it. Okay? Tortoise understands that Gaiman believes that Kay's allegations are motivated by her regret over their relationship, and that Scarlett was suffering from a condition associated with false memories at the time of her relationship with him, a claim which is not supported by any medical records or any medical history belonging to Scarlett. Now, the article leaves it there. You know, you can go and check out the podcast that has more definitive information discussing this. But what I want to like discuss with you right now is, any of you listening out there that have any hope of becoming some type of magnate in pop culture. Let's say that you want to be a singer. Let's say you want to be an author. Let's say you want to be an artist. Let's say you want to be an athlete. Let's say you want to be an esports athlete. Like Dr. Disrespect. What I want to stress to you is, please always remember your place in the world. You are just a mortal person. You bleed red, not gold. You will not outlive the stars, my friend. Not Brad Pitt, the big burning one up in the sky that keeps everything warm down here. You will not outlive that thing. Just as all men before you and all men to come, you will die one day. And that's okay. That's how the world works. All right? Mr. Gaiman is suffering from a delusion in which he believes the consequences of normal and decent human behavior don't apply to him. And I don't care if these women accusations are like true in their 100% situation. You have a man who is at least 2 decades older than Kay, interacting with her in a communication style that is wildly inappropriate for that power dynamic. Now, again, you could say what you want about legality, but I just told you people don't look to an 18-year-old for sound thinking, let alone a 20-year-old, okay? The 40-year-old in that situation is who's supposed to be the adult, okay? And say, no, this is wrong. When it comes to Scarlett, this is a woman who is 23 years old that claims that this happened to her at this time, all right? So, again, he is advanced to her. Now, he's like 63, so he's 40 years older than this girl, and claims that she climbed into a tub with him to make out and that they had some type of consensual digital sex. Okay? This is the problem with trying to lean into the legality end of this, is that quite obviously what we're dealing with here are two women that are dealing with their employer pressuring her because, again, like, here's the nanny, right? And we've heard about this before. Look at what happened with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He impregnated his nanny. It's almost like fame and power corrupt when you're not paying attention to your place in the world. And this is what I want to stress. Just remember where you are in life. Because wherever it is, you're headed somewhere good. Don't ruin that. Don't ruin that. Most of the time, if you just let life pass by, if some gal like this approaches you and she wants to be in your business, if you just let that pass by, let that move on, then all this horrible stuff that happens to these guys right now won't happen to you. It's just that easy, fellas. No down payments, no 3 payments of $19.99, none of that. It's totally free, guys. It's free real estate to just not engage with these children. And I'm calling them children, okay? I am a 34-year-old male, all right? If I am approached by an 18-year-old for anything other than help with like a tire or putting out a fire in their home, some emergency situation, I am not going to engage with them in any private manner whatsoever, okay? Furthermore, with a 23-year-old who is in my employ, I am not going to engage in anything other than thank you for your service. Here's a Christmas bonus. We hope you come back and enjoy the turkey later with us at Christmas dinner. That's it. You know, maybe they come along for Halloween because they're the nanny, right? That's it. We're not talking about anything other than the children, the home life, and whatever legal and sound duties the nanny is responsible for. Okay? You can overlook their ages if you'd like, but now you're in a territory of where this guy is abusing his status over these people. In all directions, this is inappropriate. So please, walk the other way. When you feel that part in the lower part of your stomach, you know, that place where you feel real cold. It's not where you want to barf. It's not the barf spot. It's the real cold spot. Like when you got eyes on you at night, you know, when you're out there and something's looking at you or somebody's looking at you, you know? When you feel that cold spot down low in your stomach, that's the sign. That's your body telling you, go, don't do this. Run away. You know, select run on the old Pokemon move chart, all right? It's time to run, all right? Head off into the tall grass. It's not always the man's fault. And I'm not saying that Neil Gaiman is out of bounds here. Quite obviously, these legal age women at least participated in these acts. Consent, I'm not sure. But they participated in these acts rather than simply running out of the space that they were in private with Mr. Gaiman. So again, there's so much wrong from every angle here. And add to that these allegations are coming out after in 2003. So this is almost 20 years later that this is over 20 years later that it's coming out. The problem is that these people, these women, have suffered at the hands of a guy that simply could have said no. And that's all I want to remind you of, okay? So go out into the world, enjoy yourselves, have all the fun you like, But please, if we feel that cold spot in your stomach, listen to it. Go away from whatever's causing that. All right? And as always, good luck out there.